In this video, I'm going to walk you through the simple conversions I did on my Deathwatch veterans. Okay, here's my disclaimer. What is a conversion? What isn't a conversion? What's the line between conversion and kit bashing? I don't know. I would consider the stuff I did in the last video just kit bashing. You're taking bits from one kit, one sprue, and then just sticking them in another one without any alteration. What I am doing with these guys is I'm taking stuff and I'm cutting it and gluing it, and I'm making bits that didn't exist before, and even changing just kind of the aesthetics of things at times. I don't know. I'm not doing any sculpting, but I don't think you have to sculpt to convert. Certainly sculpting is, and I want to do that someday, but I'm not there yet. And I think magnetizing is converting. So I don't know. Is it converting? Is it not? Let me know down in the comments, and you know, we'll see how we go. So with that being said, here's all the stuff that I did. Okay, so I got these backpacks that have this blank space on the back, and I want to turn them into Deathwatch backpacks. So, the one on the left I did. So, this guy on the right, what I needed to do is I needed to cut this flush, this little piece with a rivet on it, so that I have a straight line across the top. And I also had to carve the rivet off the bottom corner. And then on the, this is supposed to sit on top of a backpack. So I cut the little mount piece off, and then shaved these rivet bits off the back, and then just fit it onto the backpack with some super glue. All right, so now I have two backpacks that look a little bit more Deathwatchy. All right, so this is the handle from a Heavy Thunder Hammer, but that is not the head of a Heavy Thunder Hammer. That's just a regular Thunder Hammer. Because I cut one of the Heavy Thunder Hammers to make an objective, and the other Heavy Thunder Hammer I just stuck on a regular Thunder Hammer for this Vanguard veteran. But now I'd like to have a Heavy Thunder Hammer in my Deathwatch veterans, so I need to make something that looks like a Heavy Thunder Hammer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this regular Thunder Hammer head, and I'm going to take another regular Thunder Hammer head, and I'm going to smash them together to make a double Thunder Hammer. So this is going to be my Heavy Thunder Hammer. I just glued them together, and then when it comes to the actual shaft in that bottom one, I did pin it. So I took a piece of paper clip and clipped it and drilled it with my pin vise and stuck it in, and it doesn't sit great, but hey, 2 feet away. All right, Combi Weapons. I need more Combi Weapons. You only get one on the sprue. So took a bolter off the sprue, just a regular bolter off the sprue, and then I carved off the kind of decorative icon. Then I cut the whole top of this thing off above the barrel. I used this razor blade holder thing, but a hobby saw probably would be better. You could do it with a hobby knife, but it would be hard. And then I took the top of the Combi Weapon piece, and there's a little notch on the bottom where it would slot into the actual piece from the sprue for the Combi Weapon. Cut that flush so that I could then take the piece and line it up on top of the bolter that I cut, and just kind of, you know, slide it around so it lines up. And when I was feeling more ambitious and I had these little gaps, I actually stuck some green stuff in between the two pieces and squished it when I glued it, and then shaved it off a little bit. But I was super lazy this time, and I didn't do that pretty much on any of these guns, and voila, this is what I ended up. So this top one, that's the actual Combi Weapon piece that comes in the sprue. That's one that I made. So I got 2 Combi Flamers now, I got 2 Combi Meltas, I got 2 Combi Gravs and 2 Combi Plasmas, and they look pretty rough, but again, the rule of 2 feet, when you're looking at it 2 feet away, you won't even notice. Alright, I need some left arms to hold these weapons. So, I actually had some Deathwatch left arms left on the sprue. The important thing that I discovered here is that if you cut it completely flush, then without that little bit of wrist nub, the guns don't sit flat. So you got to cut it so that the wrist nub is still there so that the guns sit flush. So I'm going to cut this hand off, and I'm going to leave the wrist nub. And then one of these guys just has a little notch for weapons, so it's already kind of there. And then I'm going to cut off this Deathwatch bolter, shave a little bit off the top, but leave the wrist nub so that the guns sit a little bit better. And then I'm going to magnetize all of these. And again, some of them look kind of rough, but they got so many different weapons and so many different arms, and it's 2 feet away, so I think it's going to be fine. I also magnetized some pistols for the sergeant. I have a video on how I magnetize things in my How I Do Things playlist. I will link that in case you are interested in magnetizing your stuff. I would suggest it. Again, it is a way of getting a lot of different builds. Okay, so right arms. I might have mixed my arms up. Melee weapon arms, gun arms. I have one right here. So I'm going to, again, cut it off on the wrist. I'm going to magnetize these so I can swap around my melee weapons. But I needed another one. And this is off a Reaver kit, and it's basically the same size. So I'm just going to use it, and I think it'll be fine. Now, I have a power sword and a chain sword off of the Tactical Marine sprue that are in the correct hand, but I want more weapon options. And so here is a chain sword and some thunder hammers off of the Vanguard Veteran sprue, but the hand is wrong. So I need a hand swap. So here's some more Reaver arms, and I'm going to do some hand swaps in these weapons. So I'm just going to cut the weapon off above the hand, cut the weapon off below the hand, and then glue them back on the right handiness hand. Does that make sense? I probably should have pinned these, but again, super lazy, didn't do that. So here we go. Hand swapped onto some Reaver hands, and now I'm going to very carefully cut these at the wrist, drill the holes, and magnetize them. And again, you can check out the How I Magnetize thing in my How I Do Things playlists if you need to see how to do that. And here we go. I have 2 arms that are now magnetized, and I have now I can give them 2 power swords, 2 chain swords, or 2 thunder hammers, or any combination thereof of these guys. All right, here's the third combi weapon guy that I planned. He's gonna be hucking a grenade, so he's actually not gonna be holding his melee weapon in his other hand, but I'd like him to have one on the model. So this is a back plate from the Deathwatch Veteran sprue, and I think what I would like to do is I'm gonna cut that blade off, and I'm gonna stick a power sword on it as if he had it kind of hooked to his back. And then because this back plate was not intended to use with any of the other front plates from the Tactical Marine sprue, I'm going to have to do some trimming and cutting to make them fit. But I'm just going to do a little bit at a time and keep checking it until I get it going. So I carved that chunk off the back and the grenade, and I cut the handle off of a power sword, and I'm going to glue it right here. So it looks like he has it kind of hooked to the back of his belt when he's hucking his grenade. And this is how it came out. I'm super happy. I think that's going to look really cool. And then again, I just did some trimming and cutting slowly and a lot of test fitting, and I got that front plate to fit on the black back plate nicely. All right, here's my watch sergeant. I sticky tacked an arm on there that actually came from the other thunder hammer because I want this guy to have a combat shield. I got this bit off of another Deathwatch sprue, and I think that this arm like this, if I just kind of glue it, it'll actually have like a nice front pose where he's kind of like defending himself. And so that looks pretty good. So I think I'm just going to super glue that. And then he's going to have a Xenophase blade, which I know was supposed to be a Necron weapon, but I had kind of an Eldarish sword, and so I think his Xenophase blade is going to be Eldar. But I'd like to have it have a handle because he's going to kind of have it sheathed. So I'm going to chop the top of the blade off, and then I'm going to kind of stick the Eldar blade onto this knife handle. And yeah, there. Again, the blade looks a little rough, but I think from 2 feet, and it's going to be like on his belt or his back, so you're not going to be able to see it kind of as well. I think it'll come out just fine. All right, there you go. So that is all of the very simple kit bashing that I did in preparation for getting these Deathwatch veterans together. So now I'm actually going to, after about, I think, 5 hours of converting, I'm going to sit down and actually start building these guys. So I will probably show them off when I'm done. I will talk to you guys later.